The
Very well.
stats just saying what the heck is going on. So absolutely no idea. No, we're just going over. Well, at the moment, we're just going over how to annotate videos using Zoom.
Are you going to, speaking of annotate, are you going to animate the column?
Yes, that was. So clear all. Go back to close that. Default. Yes, because that was going to be part 2. So we just went over the basics of just using some simple shapes to get your simple object. Let's just shift those out of the way for now. So this is a basic furniture item. So we just go through the basic process of creating a vertex group, which is called root, because this is a furniture item. You have to have a vertex group assigned to the object, and that replicates or links up with the root node, which is the furniture root node. And the furniture and the mesh are parented together. But to animate this, we have to change that, because we don't animate the root node, we animate a control node. So what we can do for this is just select the root node and duplicate it. So we've got a second node. We can just resize this a little bit just to make it easier to see.
I think you froze up for me, but I don't know if anyone else there.
Let me just check the playback. So I'm just going to wiggle the screen.
Wait. You're wiggling the screen?
Yeah, I'm just wiggling back and forth in whatever outfits you were imagining earlier. Wiggle, wiggle. It seems to be working okay.
Oh, I see. Wiggled. I was thinking you were wiggling like your actual screen.
Oh, no, just
I was like, why? What does that do?
Yeah, how have you
I'm
done
so
that?
confused.
Right. Right, so it should be working.
Holly said it's frozen for her. Fiona said no. Lestat said yes. So
That's weird. I guess it must be Twitch just streaming issues, I guess. It's streaming okay from here to Twitch, as we said before.
it might work better if you don't share with me anymore. If you stop
No,
sharing.
it's fine. I mean, it's always. I mean, I don't think we've ever done a stream where we haven't been sharing the screen with someone else. So, oh, screen share, yes. Are we screen sharing? Where's the thing gone?
I think, yeah, I can see your screen on a separate Zoom window.
Right, so if we stop Zoom screen sharing, then that might help. But it means that you can't annotate on screen.
Well, I'm just going to come back and do it twice as much with a tablet plugged in. So,
all right, well, I shall stop screen sharing via Zoom, and you'll be able to watch what's going on the stream Twitch. And it's gone.
yeah, mine was frozen up. I'm refreshing it.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it might be because we were doing all the shenanigans.
But I like shenanigans.
I know.
Life is shenanigans.
Yeah. Polly says she refreshed and it's going now. And you've refreshed and it's going now.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like is then you can't see the chat that went by before.
Yeah.
She has a cute voice.
Yeah.
That must be me. Why, thank you.
Yes, so this is Jazz Cat and the other voice is
Jinx, it's the Jazz Cat and Jinx show.
Yeah.
Not Mermaid Palooza.
No.
Or mermaid palazzo.
Yeah, yeah. Did I spell that right? Palooza.
No. If you
No,
meant to say
what did I,
palazzo,
was it Merd made? Yeah, I didn't spell that
it
right.
should be merfolk palooza. Like apparently I am not very PC about my mermaid.
Well, I would have to disagree. There are mermaids and there are mermen.
But they're merfolk.
Well,
Anyway, you're
yes.
being
Well, no, yes, they're merfolk. Yes, collectively.
probably we should not have this discussion, but I think you're being too gender binary by saying that there are only mermaids and mermen. And
Uh,
really mermaids is a bit I don't know, diminutive. Like why are they maids? You know, like if you have mermen, shouldn't it be merwomen?
no. There's probably a discussion for another chat because the word no, no,
People just want to know how to make a cone. What?
yeah, no, because the word men doesn't mean what we are led to believe it means now. It never used to mean what we think it means now.
So it's more like human
Yes,
or something, like just people.
yeah, it didn't used to. It wasn't sex orientated.
But I think if you just say merfolk, we're just being inclusive and we don't have to give ourselves a headache worrying about it.
Yeah, all right. So it's Merfolkapalooza.
Yeah. Or poloza.
Palooza.
Poloza.
Palooza. I was thinking of
Merfolk.
pizza.
You were yeah, I heard you wanted pizza, or was
Yeah,
that Max
I
Smoke?
think that might have been Max.
He's having pizza for breakfast. He couldn't be here when I'm here because he's having pizza for breakfast.
Yes, yeah.
Now I want pizza.
Made part of it gets messy. So yes, I think we should continue. So to animate, cough cough, changing the subject. To animate, we have to create another node that we use as the control for the animation. So all we need to do here is just duplicate the root furniture node, which is what we did, and just resized it, just changed its size just to make it easier to see, and select. And then object mode, we need to change the name of this so that it becomes unique. So we just want to call this control. Oh, and it's in all caps, all shouty like. Now, the bit that's tricky in the sense of you have to make sure you do this, otherwise it won't work. So the vertex group that was assigned with the mesh or to the mesh was called root. So if we change this, we can change it now to the control node. So double click that and type the name of the node that you want to control the mesh. And click assign just to make sure that's working. But nothing will happen at the moment because although the vertex group is named correctly for the control node, it's still parented as an object to the root node. We need to change that, so we have to clear the parenting. So object, parent, clear parent and keep transform. Use that one because it'll keep the objects where they're located. So now if I click, oh, it's still doing it. Hang on then. So make sure you select both objects. Parent, clear parent, keep transform. And now it should do it. There we go. So what we have to do now is parent the mesh to the control node. So select them. Selection order is important, so make sure you select the node last. Parent, object, object, keep transform. And that should mean now that if you select the node and move that, it moves the cone. But we still need the root node of the furniture item to control everything. So once you've got the mesh and the control node parented, you need to parent the control node to the root node. So same again, select those two nodes, parent, object, keep transform. So now the root node controls everything. And that's your setup for animating. So
Alexa.
basically, sorry?
Sorry, I had to, sorry.
No, that's all right.
Found the mute button or something.
Oh,
I'm
right.
just talking to Alexa.
Oh, spying on you.
Yeah, as she spies on me. Maybe that's why my internet is so bad all the time. She's
Possibly.
stealing the bandwidth to spy on me.
Exactly. So to animate, if you're going to animate furniture item, don't animate the root node, because that controls. That's the object or the element of a product that IMVU uses to locate where everything is. So if you want to animate, you have to create a separate node that you use to control the animation, and that's what you link your animated elements to. And this is just using nodes. So if you were using an articulated skeleton with bones, it's a slightly different setup, but this is the simple way of doing things. So once you've got that, you can then go into dope sheet and then the action editor. Maybe just increase the size of this to make it easier to see, and flip that to the top. So that's the editor selector. That's this button in the corner. You get all of these options. So you want dope sheet, and then once dope sheet is open, the action editor. And this is kind of important for IMVU, not necessarily for actually making your animations. There are different ways of actually animating objects in Blender specifically. I mean, I think the same is for 3D Studio Max as well. You've got graph editors, keyframe editors, all sorts of different editors. But at the end of the day, everything needs an action to work in IMVU when you're using Blender. So we've got our control node. Timeline slider or scrubber is at keyframe 1 or frame 1. So that's
your chat bot won't let people say cones.
Oh, hang on. Okay. Allow.
Nice.
That's so funny. I mean, seriously, that tells you not so much how sensitive the chatbot is, but the context people are using the word cones with.
And we thought it would be nuts that would have a word.
Yes.
No,
It's cones.
Yeah, it said Polly was being aggressive.
Poly-aggressive? I can't imagine it.
Yeah, she said it's nice they're looking out for us.
Absolutely, but I mean, there's looking out for you and then putting you in a padded cell so no one can get at you.
Yeah. Well, it's nice you have the power to tweak things.
Yes, it has the power.
Oh, wait, now she said, oh, maybe it was for exclamation points or something. It modded her again.
Yeah, I just it's caps. It's caps and exclamation marks, I guess.
Oh yeah, Max Milk was complaining about that in the chat
Yes.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
The exclamation points. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, this is no fun."
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, you have to have some degree of moderation because of spam bots. Because the comments do get spammed. So it's a choice between, do you let random people just spam absolute nonsense and links to all sorts of things, or do you have some moderation just to get rid of those, but it inadvertently means that you catch legitimate uses of cones.
Yeah, or like you should be able to use 3 exclamation points in a row.
Yeah, because things are that important.
Yeah, I mean, Polly used like maybe 9 or something. I can't tell, but that might be a little excessive. But
Yeah,
3 should be okay.
yeah, 3 should be okay. Yes, right. So, bad bot. So once you've got your object set up so that you can accommodate some animation, because again, don't animate the root node for furniture items, always animate a specific node. Once you've got that done, dope sheet, action editor, and then move the timeline slider or the scrubber to keyframe 1. I'm not sure, there was a reason why you had to use frame 1 and not frame 0, but I can't remember what it is. But it doesn't necessarily mean that your animation won't work if you use 0. It's just force of habit to set it at frame 1. I think it's something to do with if you include frame 0 and then insert a frame at frame 10, you've actually got 11 frames, not 10 frames.
Oh, because it starts counting at 0?
Yeah.
That's just like video editing.
Yeah, so similar sort of analogy. So place a scrubber at frame 1 or 0, and then press the insert key or the I key, or object, animation, insert keyframe. And it'll give you this little pop-up. And for IMVU, all we need is lock, rot, or location and rotation. And that inserts a keyframe. So let's go to frame 60. So you can either drag, left click drag, or click. Do the same thing again. Move the mouse over the 3D view when you're doing this, otherwise it'll do something slightly different. Press the I key, lock, rot. So we've got a start and an end frame. We need a middle frame. So go to frame 30. Make an adjustment to the node. Move it up slightly maybe. Press the I key again. Insert lock rot. And that inserts the position. So what we're doing is saving the location and the rotation of the object to the timeline. So the timeline is saving the positions that the object is in at each of these frames. So now we have a very simple animation. So let me do something quickly here so that, and this is, you don't have to do this, but the way that we've done this, because the start and end frame are identical, and we've got the action that we actually want, which is the movement from nothing to our what? Polly, seriously?
He's trying to find something that gets you moderated so I can try saying it to see if it does it to me.
You're a moderator?
I'm a moderator, but
Yeah.
so does that mean I can say whatever I want?
I don't know if that bypasses, but you have the power to moderate Polly.
I don't want to moderate her. I want her to find something that gets her auto moderated and then see if I can say the same thing.
It's not my fault. I never did it, Copper. You never catch me alive. As she runs away.
Someone else told me to do it, so it's okay.
Yeah. Following orders, I see, Hans.
But she hasn't managed to hit it again. We need Max Smoke.
Oh, he's definitely going to do it.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is basically saving specific poses to the timeline, a no action pose and an action pose where something has happened, and we allow Blender to automatically generate the bits in between, which is called tweening. And because the front or the start and the end frames are exactly the same, and we've got our action in the middle of the sequence, this is a cycling pose or a cycling animation. It will repeat. So let me just make an adjustment. So in Blender, the default length of your animated sequence is 250 frames. So we need to see this properly, looping or cycling in Blender, we need to change that. So in render properties, this is why we had the annotation sharing, screen sharing thing. It's so that it could draw on screen.
Oh, is that the proper use of it?
That's why we needed it. Hang on, I'm just going to do that again because it makes it, it does make this, the stream might go a little bit wonky, but playback will be fine, I guess. So, to make this cycle and appear to cycle properly in Blender, you want render properties, which is this camera button, and then you want this section, which is your frame rate, all your frame properties. And what we want to do is change the frame end frame to match this frame. So these two, whee! Oh, we can draw. Excellent. These two. Sorry?
I just said we.
Whee! So we can do, so this, once we get this set up, I'll clear that. So this is at frame 60, not 30. We changed this end frame to 60. Enter. Oh. So, you vandal.
You're using the timeline. I'm not even down there.
And then what we can do is play the animation. So if you do Alt-A, oh, and this will be terribly slow on stream because obviously Blender is rendering something and we're streaming at the same time.
I don't really like my color choices on this.
That's sort of pinkish.
Sort of. Oh, shoot. If I draw in here, can I then move it?
No, once it's drawn, it's drawn. So you have to clear this. You have to clear it.
That's very annoying. Ooh, it's just bobbing up and down. That's very cool.
So that is what a cycling or a repeatable animation sequence is. So as what you're doing essentially is structuring the sequence so your start and end frames are exactly the same and the action occurs in the middle. And this allows not just Blender but IMVU that the sequence is set up so that you're essentially blending from 0 to 100 and then from 100 down to 0. And that pyramid, if you like, that pyramid sequence allows the sequence or the animation to repeat and loop. So I'm going to stop that and I'm going to save that whilst all this scribble is all over the screen. Save as 5. And then what we can do is export this to IMVU to get an animated furniture item. So select the items. You don't have to do this, but it's I don't know whether it actually makes any difference. But make sure the root furniture node is selected last. But you have to make sure that your mesh, the animated node, and the furniture root node is selected. Export. So that's File, Export, FBX. and then you get all the gubbings. So we want selected objects only, disable use modifiers, armatures, disable this, add leaf bones. That's probably the most important one that you want to disable, otherwise it breaks everything. An animation, we want to keep this, but we want to make a change. We want to disable NLA strips and force start end keying. And what this will do is, if you had multiple animations, FBX allows us to export all of them at the same time, but each strip is given its own animation strip, if you like. Otherwise, it combines it all into a single animation, and that's no good for IMVU. So number 5, that's set up, and then export. And that should, in IMVU, create. So we need to create a derival, rooms furniture, and we want furniture. Go. Has the screen caught a contagion?
It's a pizza. What? It's with olives. Look.
Oh, so you're not an anchovy anchovy pizza anchovy pizza then, are you?
I don't eat any kind of meat.
Oh, you're vegan.
Well, I'm a vegetarian. I'm kind of like a fallen vegan.
You've been ostracized from the house of vegan.
Yeah, you can't be like, oh, I'm mostly vegan or something. That is like a really uncool thing to say. So
Right, so
I eat a plant-based diet. That's what I have to say.
yeah, predominantly plant-based.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, so once we've got our FBX exported from Blender, open your derivable, or the derivation, furniture, chair, FBX import, load FBX. This will load up your standard Windows browser, and we now have to find the furniture item. So that is, which is number 5. Open. Ooh, look at that. We've got an animation. Awesome. So we need to change the scale using Blender. So that's 0.01. We want to replace the mesh. So the mesh ID is 0. We haven't named the material properly, but IMVU's kind of fudged us and automatically adjusted for that. Ooh, make sure you disable rename room nodes, because that can cause problems. So make sure that's disabled. I'm not quite sure why that's enabled by default, unless that was something that was changed for some reason. But you'll note now we have our animation sequence. Control, action, control. I mean, we could name that, but it'd still mess that up. It still does some really weird. So that name has come from an auto-generated name based on the name of the object, control, and the fact that sequences are called actions. So it's done a auto name control action. And then, of course, on import, it's added the node name, control to the end there. But we can import this now. So apply scale 0.01, mesh ID 0, and everything else looks okay. So import. Warning, material slot, that's okay. Import changes. Apply changes. So we've got the mesh and all the bits imported, but now, of course, we have to set up an action. So add, and it's stance idle because we want this to autoplay. Avatar, I guess. Want this to loop infinitely, so 0. That's 0 for ensembles. Want it to play the same ensemble. And then down in the actions section, going to use the annotation again. So in this section, so the top bit, that's where you set the basic parameters of what the action will do in terms of how often it loops and what triggers it. And in the bottom section, that's where you set up all the stuff to do with the actual sequence itself. So that's the animation itself.